Cracking, what's popping, what's good, everybody? We back with another video. Told y'all be back. Y'all thought it wouldn't be another one. Told y'all it'd be another one. Uh, right now we just gonna start reading books. I like to read books, you know. So we gonna read books. The first book we gonna read is The Spook Who Sat by the Door. That's one of my books that I like. Hope that you guys find it interesting. I'll drop the link for you guys in the description for you guys to be able to follow along. This is a free PDF version, so you guys will be able to follow along. It's what does it say? It's 260 pages, so not too bad. And it starts on page 10, so really 250. So yeah, man, finna have a good time, man. Yeah, man, finna have a good time. All right, so without further ado, let's jump into it. Okay. Today, the computer's world would tell Senator Gilbert Hennington about his impending campaign for re-election. The senator knew from experience that the computers did not lie. He sat separated from his assembled staff by his massive uncluttered desk, the Washington Monument framed by the window to his rear. They sat alert, competent, loyal, and intelligent, with charts, graphs, clipboards, and reports at the ready. The senator swept the group with a steely gaze, gave Belinda, his wife and chief aide, a bright smile, and said, "All right, team, let's have a rundown. And don't try to sweeten the poison. We all know this is the closest one yet. What I want to know is, how close? Tom, kick it off. The campaign war chest is in excellent shape, Chief. No major defectors. Good. I'll look over your detailed breakdown later. Dick, I spent a week on Mad Ave with both the PR boys in our ad agency. They both have good presentations ready for your approval, Senator. I think you'll be pleased. How do we shape up on TV, Dick? All our ducks in line? Excellent, Senator. You'll be on network television a minimum of 3 times between now and Election Day. Just about perfect. No danger of overexposure. Have you licked the makeup thing yet, Dick? Asked Belinda Hennington. A small detail, but it probably cost one man the presidency. We don't want that to happen to us. No sweat, Mrs. Hennington. Max Factor came out with a complete new line right after that fiasco. I think we'll be using graying temples in keeping with our maturity image. As we all know, the youth bit is out nowadays. Fortunately, with the senator, we can play it either way. Good show, Dick, said the senator. Harry, I've run the results of our polls through the computers, both the IBM 436 and the Remington Rand 1401. Luis Harris gave us a random pattern sampling with peer group anchorage, Gallup A saturation vertical syndrome personality study, and NORC and ethnic and racial cross-section symbiology. The results check out on both computers, although I'm programming a third as a safety valve checkout. The computers have you winning the election, Senator, but by less than 3,000 votes. A small shift and there goes the ball game. The senator, startled and troubled, glanced nervously toward his wife. She gave him a smile of reassurance. Do the computers indicate a possible breakthrough, he asked, with any of the peer groups? How do we stand with the Jewish vote? You're solid with the Jews, Senator. Where you're in trouble is with the Negroes. The Negroes? Exclaimed Senator Hennington. Why, I have the best voting record on civil rights on Capitol Hill. Just last year, I broke the ADA record for voting on civil rights with 97.64. Our polls reveal a sharp decline just after your speech requesting a moratorium on civil rights demonstrations. If we can regain most of the lost Negro percentile, Senator, we're home free. No use crying about a lack of voter loyalty. This calls for a think session. Perhaps we should have our special assistant on minorities and civil rights sit in. Although I'm not sure how helpful he'll prove. Frankly, I'm disappointed by his performance so far. Judy, said the senator into his office intercom. Think session in here. No calls, please. And cancel all morning appointments. And ask Carter Summerfield to join us, will you? The senator turned to his wife as they awaited the arrival of Summerfield. Belinda, I'm beginning to have serious doubts about Summerfield. He hasn't come up with a fresh idea since he joined us, and I don't expect anything other than tired cliches from him today. He's fine in the campaign, Gil. That's where he'll shine. I don't think you ought to rely on him for theory. Perhaps you're right. I guess it's not brains that we're looking for in him anyway. No, she smiled. That's his least valuable commodity to us. Okay, so I'm gonna stop right there. Give a little breakdown of what's happening. So, is this dude? He's running for political office. It sounds like presidency, and it's getting to the crucial time of the election. One of the details they said is that he'll be on, the camera 3 times between now and the presidential election. So it's getting around that crucial time. He's trying to ensure that he has taken the proper steps to win the election, and he's come across a roadblock possibly, which is the black vote, and he's called in someone that he considers to be a good aide, but ain't been too good of an aide apparently, and he trying to get his opinion on what he can do to, make sure he win the election. All right, so we're gonna dive back in. The senator swiveled his leather-covered chair half round and gazed out at the Washington Monument. This question of the Negro vote could be serious. I never thought I'd ever be in trouble with those people. We have to come up with something which will remind them I'm the best friend they have in Washington, and soon. Carter Summerfield had sat in this office all morning, worried and concerned. He sensed the senator was not pleased with his performance and could not understand why. Summerfield had sought desperately to discover what it was the senator wanted to hear in order that he might say it, and was amazed to find that the senator seemed annoyed when his own comments were returned, only slightly paraphrased. In all his career as a professional Negro, Summerfield had never before encountered a white liberal who actually wanted an original opinion from a Negro concerning civil rights, for they all considered themselves experts on the subject. Summerfield found it impossible to believe Senator Hennington any different from the others. He had spent the morning searching for the source of the senator's displeasures until his head ached. The handwriting was on the wall, and Summerfield knew his job was at stake. He must discover the source of displeasure and remove it. Perhaps he should wear ready-made clothes? Had the senator somehow seen him driving the Lincoln rather than the Ford he always drove to the office? It was essential to never have a more impressive car than one's boss. He told all his newly integrated Negro friends that. Had anyone discovered the encounter with the white girl in Colorado Springs when he had accompanied the senator on a trip to the Air Force Academy? He had been certain he had acted with the utmost secrecy and discretion. But he had known even then that it was a stupid move which might threaten his entire career. Summerfield took 2 Galusos and a tranquilizer and reached for the phone to inquire discreetly of his fellow integrated Negro friends if there was a word on the grapevine of an opening for a man of his experience. The phone rang. It was Senator Hennington's secretary summoning him to the senator's office for a think session. Smiling as always when in the presence of whites, Summerfield entered the senator's office, his eyes darting from face to face for some sign concerning his present status. But the looks of the other members of the staff were no longer funereal. Ooh, that's a word right there. Funereal. That's a word right there. Let's. That's a word right there. Okay, so I'm gonna start the sentence over. But the looks of the other members of the staff were no longer funereal, and the senator greeted him with a warm smile as he motioned Summerfield to an empty chair, briefly inquiring about his wife and children. It seems, Carter, said the senator, that we're in serious trouble with the Negro vote. Summerfield frowned in sympathy and concern. We must come up with a fresh, dramatic, and headline capturing act on my part, which will prove to my colored constituents that I'm the best friend they have in Washington. He swept the room again with his steely gaze. Gary Cooper back to the wall, but undaunted, and we must do it today. Summerfield nervously licked his lips. How about calling a conference of the responsible Negro leaders to discuss your new civil rights bill, Senator? The senator considered it for a moment. I don't think so, Carter. To be perfectly frank, I don't think the bill will pass this session. White backlash. How about a fact-finding tour of the African countries, said Dick. No, I said that last year and still haven't kicked the dysentery I picked up on safari in Tanganyika. How about a speech attacking apartheid at Cape Town University, asked Harry. I don't think South Africa would grant me a visa. Gil, said the senator's wife, why don't we accuse the Central Intelligence Agency of a discriminatory hiring policy? Segregation in CIA? Yes, They have no Negro officers at all, mostly menial and clerical help. Are you certain, Belinda? This could be what we're looking for. I'm positive, but I'll check it out. We have a man in personnel over there, you know. Couldn't a charge of that nature prove counterproductive, Miss Hennington? Asked Dick. CIA's almost as untouchable as the FBI. Not since you two in the Bay of Pigs, and this should prove an irresistible combination for the press. Cloak and dagger and civil rights. I'm inclined to agree, Belinda, said the senator, who was usually inclined to agree with his attractive wife. What's the best way of springing this thing for maximum impact? Why not at the Senate Watchdog Committee hearings, said Tom. But the hearings are closed, said the senator. It wouldn't be the first time we've used closed hearings for a press leak, Gil. I'll brief Mark Townsend over lunch here in the office on the day of the hearing, said Belinda. Excellent, said Dick. A political columnist of his stature is perfect. Now, how do I play it in the hearings? Indignant, angry, or do I underplay? Dignified, I think, Senator, said Harry. You're shocked and saddened that the agency in closest grips with the forces of godless communism is shackled by the chains of racial prejudice. Right, said Tom. You say that America must utilize the talents of its entire citizenry, regardless of race, color, or creed in the Cold War. They'll deny it at first, said Belinda, then probably claim their personnel files are classified, but they'll back down when they get enough negative press coverage. They're very image conscious nowadays. Carter Summerfield sat looking interested, but carefully silent. Advising the senator how to criticize other whites was definitely not one of his functions. I can program one of the computers to provide statistics showing the increased efficiency of the armed forces since their integration, said Tom. If CIA does select a Negro, he'll be the best known spy since 007, said Harry. Well, he will find it a bit difficult after all the publicity he's going to get, said the senator. You mean, Gil, said his wife, the publicity you're going to get. The senator smiled. Okay, so I'm going to pause again. So what just happened was he just had the meeting with his constituents, with the black dude that, he, brings in to talk to him about black people. And the black dude honestly didn't have nothing to tell him. Carter Summerfield, he didn't know what to say. He just and he just sitting there while the other people are bouncing ideas off of each other. And then the senator's wife comes with a good idea. And he's like, shoot, okay, bet, let's put it into action. All right, cool. General, said Senator Hennington, addressing the director of the CIA, it has come to my... Okay, so, and I'm going to give y'all just... I don't know if y'all... Some people are new to reading books, so I'm going to just put y'all on a little bit of game. Whenever you have a break like this in between paragraphs, it lets you know that there's a scene change. So right now, the scene's changed, and now it sounds like Senator Hennington is addressing the entire CIA at the meeting that they just discussed on page 6 at the hearings, the Senate Watchdog Committee hearings. So they're at the Senate Watchdog Committee hearings now, and this is the senator addressing what they were just discussing. General, said Senator Hennington, addressing the director of the CIA, it has come to my attention that there are no Negroes on an officer level in the CIA. Would you care to comment on that? The other committee members looked at Senator Hennington with some shock. They knew he faced a close election in the fall, but this gambit was below the belt. The general, fighting to control his famous temper, replied icily, You know, of course, Senator, that our personnel files are highly classified. I'm aware of that, General, but this meeting is closed and we are all cleared for that kind of information. It's not true that we don't have any colored at the agency. Our kitchen staff, our maintenance section, and drivers are all colored. My question, General, concerned Negroes on an officer level. Well, we don't have any colored officers. Do you think, General, that a policy of racially selective recruiting which excludes a full 10% of our population is a wise one? Yes. While I personally have no racial prejudice, I feel Negroes are not yet ready for the highly specialized demands of intelligence work. Really, said Senator Hennington, smiling a smile of patronizing pity in the face of bigotry. It's a question of sociology rather than prejudice. A gap simply exists between the races, which is a product of social rather than racial factors. There are Negroes who have bridged that gap. If so, I would welcome them in the CIA. I would suggest you make more of an effort to find them. Senator Hennington, said the committee chairman in his rich aristocratic southern drawl, we all know that deceit hypocrisy, duplicity are the everyday tools of our agents in the field. Much to their credit, the childlike nature of the colored mentality is ill suited to the craft of intelligence and espionage. I'm afraid, Mr. Chairman, replied the senator, once again entering into the charade concerning race he had conducted with his southern friend for well over a decade. I don't understand what you mean by the colored mentality. There is a question of cover, said the general. An agent must be capable of fading into the background, adopting the guise of the person one cannot remember a minute after even meeting them. Negroes in the field would be far too conspicuous. General, I'd rather not carry this conversation any further. I would appreciate a report in a month's time concerning the progress of the establishment of a merit hiring policy at CIA. Okay, boom. So that's the end of that little conversation that they had at the watchdog meeting. We just had another break, and now we're going somewhere. So here we go. The luncheon table had been trundled away, and Belinda Hennington and the famous political columnist Mark Townsend sat in the conversation corner of the senator's office, sipping brandy from large snifters. Both the senator and I wanted to give you an exclusive on this, Mark, said Belinda. Thanks, Belinda. Are you sure this checks out? The government is supposed to be at the forefront in merit hiring, not CIA. We're positive. I have a man at CIA. Mind if I check him out on this? Of course not. You can use an undisclosed CIA source in your lead. This could bring civil rights back into the headlines. It's been suffering from overexposure lately. You're right, Mark. The public has tired of the same old thing. Fire hoses, cattle prods, dogs on one hand, and singing, marching, and praying on the other. Civil rights could use a good public relations man. When will the senator make an official statement? I should guess after the wire services and television pick up your beat. In about 3 days, I should think. Sounds about right. Where will you conduct this press conference? Right there. The Washington Monument makes a good backdrop for the television cameras. Almost a Hennington trademark. Townsend had left and Belinda was sipping a well-earned scotch on the rocks when the senator returned. She mixed her husband a drink and he sank into the leather chair behind his big desk. How did it go today, dear? She asked. Couldn't have gone better, honey. I'm certain this is it. Yes, dear. By this time next week, we'll have the Negro vote wrapped up again. She handed the senator his drink and rested one sleek hip on the polished mahogany of the desk. Never take the voters for granted. Even Negroes react eventually, you know. I'd have thought the CIA would have been more alert on a thing like this. If they had one Negro officer, my charges would have fallen as flat as your sister's souffles. If it hadn't been CIA, it would have been someone else. We're not likely to run out of institutions to accuse of segregation in our lifetime, darling. They smiled at one another affectionately. That November, the senator won his re-election comfortably, the Negro vote accounting for more than his margin of victory. So, that's chapter 1. Man. This is setting the scene for the rest of the book. Like, they kind of let you know, like, what the political climate is going into this book. So they're saying, okay, the senator just won the election. He won by making racially charged claims against the CIA to attract the Negro vote. And then they let you know that he won handsomely in the election. So that's the environment that you're in during this time for the rest of the book. So that's just chapter 1. We're going to tune back in to the next chapter. I appreciate y'all tuning in with me. I'll catch y'all on the next one. Appreciate it. All right, peace.